Hey everyone, my name is Revel or Revolution, and I'm here at Bookman's Flagstaff for Grownup Storytime. Yes, I'm so very excited. Today we're going to be reading some go-to-sleep books, but they're not for the kids, they're for you grown-ups at home, because we are what? Grown. Yes, so we're gonna have some fun, read some adult thematic themed stories. So I just want to preface this by saying this is not a story time for kids. There's going to be a lot of grown-up words in here, and it's just for you adults at home. So I hope that one day soon you can join me here at Bookman's Flagstaff or any of their 6 locations in Arizona. That's 3 in Tucson, 2 in Phoenix, and the one up here in Flagstaff. For now, we're just going to be broadcasting to you in the comfort of your home, but they're still open if you want to come by, get some books, DVDs, pins, merch, whatever you're looking for. They probably have it here. So, without further ado, we will begin with Go the Fuck to Sleep. Go the Fuck to Sleep by Adam Mansbach. I know a thing or two about a man's back, you know what I'm saying? We're starting the adult jokes early, okay? So, Go the Fuck to Sleep by Adam Mansbach, illustrated by Ricardo Cortez. We see a sleeping fox there. This is for Vivian, without whom none of this would be possible. The cats nestle close to their kittens. The lambs have lain down with the sheep. You're cozy and warm in your bed, my dear. Please, go the fuck to sleep. You can see a nice sleeping child, some little kitties, a little lamb. Very peaceful, right? Sleeping, or are they? The windows are dark in the town, child. The whales huddle down in the deep. I'll read you one very last book if you swear you'll go the fuck to sleep. Yes. The eagles who soar through the sky are at rest, and the creatures who crawl, run, and creep. I know you're not thirsty, that's bullshit, stop lying. Lie the fuck down, my darling, and sleep. I know all of you, say all of this to your kids before bedtime, right? Those little bundles of joy. The wind whispers softly through the grass, hun. The field mice, they make not a peep. It's been 38 minutes already. Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Go to sleep. Yes. See a little field mouse going to sleep? Why can't you be more like that field mouse? Now all the kids from daycare are in dreamland. The froggy has made his last leap. Hell no, you can't go to the bathroom. You know where you can go? The fuck to sleep. Trying to hop on lily pads when you need to be hopping into bed. Now the owls fly north from the treetops. Through the air they soar and they sweep. A hot crimson rage fills my heart, love. For real, shut the fuck up and sleep. Now the cubs and the lions are snoring, wrapped in a big snuggly heap. How come you can do all this other great shit, but you can't lie the fuck down and sleep? I'd like to know. Now the seeds slumber beneath the earth and the crops that the farmers will reap. No more questions. The interview's over. I've got 2 words for you, kid. Fucking sleep. The tiger reclines in the simmering jungle. The sparrow has silenced her cheep. Fuck your stuffed bear, I'm not getting you shit. Close your eyes, cut the crap. Sleep. See, just wanted to sleep. Just sitting there in bed, not sleeping. Now the flowers doze low in the meadows and high on the mountains so steep. My life is a failure, I'm a shitty ass parent. Stop fucking with me, please, and sleep. See a little child up in the mountains when they should be sleeping. Thank you. Now the giant pangolins of Madagascar are snoozing as I lie here and openly weep. Sure, fine, whatever, I'll bring you some milk. Who the fuck cares? You're not gonna sleep. This is the stage of grief I think called acceptance. The This room is all I can remember. The furniture crappy, cheap. You win, you escape, you run down the hall as I nod the fuck off and sleep. Oh, how the tables have turned. Kids running down the hall, and I'm sleeping. Well, bleary and dazed I awaken to find your eyes shut, so I keep my fingers crossed tight as I tiptoe away and pray that you're fucking asleep. I'll pray for that. We're finally watching our movie. Popcorn's in the microwave. Beep! Oh shit, goddammit, you've gotta be kidding. Come on. Go the fuck back to sleep. Cyclical. You see what's happening? It never ends. Kid's always gonna have to sleep the next day too, or maybe even again later that night. Yes. The end. For tonight. Maybe they'll wake up again, right? Parents, we've all been there. Babysitters, we've all been there. Big brothers and sisters, we've all been there. And if you want to take this book home for yourself, you can find this and many other titles like it here at the Flagstaff Bookman's. Yes, yes. Now, we've got two other books for you. One is Goodnight Trump. See the gold gilding there. It's the fanciest, the nicest ever. And the other one is Goodnight Brew. Now, which one do you think I should listen to first? Just kidding, I can't listen. So, or read to you first. I'm gonna do Goodnight Trump, okay? And then we're gonna end with the Goodnight Brew because it's the perfect nightcap, it says on the back. So starting with Goodnight Trump. This is an unauthorized parody of Goodnight Moon, which many of us know, and it's by Erich, Origen, and Golan. I love that name, Golan. In the very classy room, there was a golden... I'm gonna stop right there. That accent, rotten, trash. Y'all know what he sounds like. We never want to listen to it again. So I'm just gonna read it in my lovely voice for you. In the very classy room, there was a golden mirror and a silver spoon and a broadcast of a half-baked story from a fake newsroom. And there were billionaires sending thoughts and prayers, because that's what we all need for the billionaires is thoughts and prayers. Or, you know, their taxes. And a pair of manly mittens and two grabbable kittens. A big beautiful wall and a Russian nesting doll. A golden seat for tweets in a rush. See, it's a little potty chair for the little man. And a pretty young bunny whom money has hushed. It's getting dark in here. Good night, classy room. Good night, heirloom clan costume. Good night, cowards kissing up to a buffoon. And you see here on the heirloom clan costume it says, "Love, Dad." And then here, on the Good Night Cowards kissing up to a buffoon, it says McConnell, Karen, Ryan, McCarthy, and Pence. Kissing the Banana Republic underwear. Banana Republicans, excuse me, underwear. Good night, bizarre handshake. Good night, ketchup on a steak. Good night, torches for hate crimes. And good night, fine people on both sides. I know I said I was done, but I couldn't help it. Good night, cabinet of whack jobs, most notably, DeVos. See there? And good night, White House, run like the mob. Good night, drilling in national parks, and good night, 7 sins, check marks. See the oil leaking out of the national park there? Tragic. Good night, undermined law of the land, and good night, gutted health care plan. Good night, 12 Diet Cokes a day. Good night, corrosive tooth decay. Excuse me, corrosive truth decay. Good night, very stable genius, and good night, drawer full of subpoenas. See that? The Mueller files burning in the fireplace there. Got a little Lego wall there, building the wall. We've got very orange something there. Goodnight bromance with dictators and goodnight witch hunt investigators. It says DFFs Vlad and Kimmy. Goodnight democracy at risk and goodnight blame game politics. You see here on the blame game we've got the media, Canada, Obama. It's landed on Obama, usually does. Mexicans, the Pope, anyone. Reality, Muslims, China, her emails, and words. Who are we gonna blame today? Goodnight army of bots and trolls, goodnight hole in the man-child's soul. See the trolls and the hole in the soul. Goodnight ashamed Lady Liberty and goodnight shut out refugees. Goodnight lies that never cease and goodnight gaslighter in chief. There he is, the gaslighter in chief himself. Goodnight blacklisted football pros and goodnight towels thrown at Puerto Rico. It says 100% racist, disaster capitalism. Goodnight tariffs and trade wars. Goodnight button, much bigger than yours. The biggest, huge. Huge goodnight button. Goodnight middle class bait and switch. Goodnight golden showers for the rich. Looks a little too happy about that one. Goodnight Bible stripped of meaning and goodnight art of the self-dealing. See, it's turned it into just a big capital T there. Goodnight child held in a cage and goodnight I don't care outrage. Goodnight altered golden rule. Goodnight kids gunned down at school. See here, it says do unto others hashtag winning. Altered golden rule. And you can see what's happening there. Goodnight global climate shock and goodnight ticking doomsday clock. Goodnight allies thrown under the bus. Goodnight the best people. See all of them right there. The absolute best people. They're all right there on that page. See them? You don't see them? Oh. Goodnight cover-up brush. And good night to the young bunny who refused to be hushed. See that? Holes coming through in the story. Good night swamp. And good night troll. You see a lot of creatures up there in the swamp, including one rather orange troll. And good night upended old glory. Good night hole in the soul. Looks like the bunny's taking some revenge there. We see a little teddy bear with a sign that says, impeach, impeach. That's the teddy bear's voice. Impeach, impeach. Catch me chanting that at a march sometime. Now, good night to the lies and the... Like that, though, in that voice. Good night to the lies and the truths he evades. Good night, Trump and his whole sad charade. See, we're nearing the end, and it looks like the sun is rising. Well, that's nice. You can see the bunny there in bed reading Goodnight Moon. Now we're to the afterword, and I think it's important, so I'll read it to you. It says, thank you for reading the greatest book of all time about the greatest and most successful president of all time. President has a little asterisk there, and then the asterisk leads to this little robot. May its tremendous words serve as a soothing incantation. For generations, the children's book Goodnight Moon has helped Americans acquire something scientists call object permanence. The mind-blowing realization that objects you can't see when you close your eyes are still there. Even if you fall asleep, they'll still be there when you wake up. Amazing. We acquire object permanence around the same time we look at a mirror and realize we're seeing a reflection of ourselves. And if you have a golden mirror, it's truly fabulous. Since the objects we see in Goodnight Moon aren't real, but illustrated representations of objects, the book isn't merely helping us acquire object permanence. Something else is at play. A play by the Deep State or QAnon? Probably. Whatever it is, repetition is key. Both Goodnight Moon and the Trump administration show us that ideas can become real in our minds by virtue of repetition. Whether it's bears in chairs or Obama's Kenyan birth certificate, if you affirm the existence of something enough times, many children and adults will believe it. How many times did the president, asterisk to the robot, tell us that the investigation of him and his associates was a witch hunt? That he was an anti-establishment billionaire? Isn't that an oxymoron? That nobody knows more about trade walls, the Bible, nuclear threats, or taco bowls? Say such things enough times and people, well, they start to feel very sleepy. Thankfully, as John Oliver has observed, the rest of the world continues to exist whether Trump acknowledges it or not. Now, what can we do to repair the world? As Mr. Rogers once said, look for the helpers and become one. Search resources like Charity Navigator to find causes you can support with your time, money, or a crowdfunding campaign. Parents, if possible, get your kids involved. Service learning fosters leadership and teaches empathy. If you want to model how to participate in our democracy to the fullest, follow the long tradition of heroes who have brought our country closer to its ideals by working to create a flourishing democracy worth protecting. Now, they list here in the book many organizations that empower children and help protect their rights and well-being. And a few that I have noted here that I think are worth noting are Court-Appointed Special Advocate Association, also known as CASA. You can sign up to be a member of that yourself and help children who are unfortunately being thrown into the court system right now. You can also look at Refugee and Immigrant Center for Education and Legal Services, also known as Raices, School Justice Project, Trayvon Martin Foundation, the Trevor Project, and the Young Center for Immigrant Children's Rights. So if you would like to see the full list, you can find this book, as well as many other great titles like it, here at Bookman's Flagstaff. This book is dedicated to the children who've been separated from their parents and held in detention centers, refugee children who have been denied asylum, students killed by gun violence, and mothers and infants suffering because they still lack access to health care, and to parents who have struggled through so many difficult conversations. We hope Goodnight Trump helps you regain your sense of humor and say goodnight. Thank you to Erich, Origen, and Golan. Very important message, and I'm happy to have been able to share a bit of that today. Please make sure to check out those organizations. And on a light little fun nightcap note, we do have one more book for you today, and that's Goodnight Brew. Now, I don't know too many things about brew. I'm more of a tequila person myself, but this is a parody for beer people. If you're one of those beer people or a beer walrus or a beer cockatiel, then this is for you. It's by Anne E. Briated. One more time, Anne E. Briated. Anne E. Briated is the author of this book, and it's illustrated by Ali Og. I don't know if Ali Og is like Anne E. Briated. I get that one. Ali Og, if that's something that's like going over my head, type it in the comments. I want to know. Now, in the great brew room, there was a kettle that shone, and a gramophone, and a picture of... Well, you can see the walrus here in the brew room, and the cockatiel, and the hog, and he's got a picture of... What does that look like to you? Looks like he's drinking it on the front there. A gramophone and a picture of a chocolate stout with 2 feathers of foam. Sorry, the foam got to me there. And there were 3 little otters in charge of the water. See the otters there? They've got the water to make the brew. We've got the cockatiel with the 2 feathers of foam. feathers of foam, so fun to say, it's quite fabulous actually. For fermenting some yeast. Yeast is a naturally occurring fungus that grows in the, I'm just kidding. It is though. I have a yeast mix. If y'all see me in drag, you might have seen it. For fermenting some yeast, which is a naturally occurring body that grows in the moist, naturally occurring fungus that grows in the moist areas of our bodies. Now, there's the otters with the water for fermenting the yeast, and a hops wildebeest. Says, I love IPA. Yes. Now, also, a wildebeest is also known as a gnu. G-N-U. Gnu. Or wildebeest. Yes. But this one's a hops wildebeest. You see, he likes a little brew. There's also a black bear named Charlie and a sweet malted barley. Now, I know someone named Charlie, but he's really much more of a twink than a bear. And bottles and clogs and a whirling warthog. When I was a drunk warthog. And a flavorful cash, and a whole ton of mash, and a baritone brewer with a foamy mustache. Yes, you see the walrus now has a foamy mustache. We see Charlie the bear throwing in the hops with the mash. Interesting about the mash, you can actually feed it, sort of like a porridge thing made out of the hops, to chickens and cows afterwards. Goodnight Brew. See, they're all cleaning up the brewery. Goodnight Brew. Cheers, cheers, hurrah, l'chaim, cheers, cheers, oink, oink, yay. Well, good night, crew, and good night, Mooney Cockatoo. I called it a cockatiel, but I have a feeling this bird will forgive me. Good night, cash, and good night, mash. There's that mash I was talking about, and there's the cash. Not that kind of cash, C-A-C-H-E. But y'all are adults, I didn't have to tell you that. And good night, kettle, and tanks of metal. Good night, barley, and good night, Charlie. Charlie the bear. Not Charlie the twink. Good night, wildebeest, and yeast, the naturally occurring fungus that grows in the moist areas of our body, and is also very important in the fermentation process of beer. Good night, bottles and barefoot waddles. Good night, sasson. Good night, wheat. Good night, porter and clogged feet. See, the otters have some clogs there. And good night, stout and IPA. Good night, Bach and hog ballet. If you've all seen me dancing in drag, you could call that a hog ballet as well. And I'll only be a little offended. Well, good night, waltz and derrières. That's French for ass. You see, the walrus likes a beer with his waltz, and the otters like shaking their booty when they had a couple brews. And good night, beer lovers everywhere, including you at home. If you are a beer lover, this is good night to you. Now, this is a little basic explanation of how the brewing process works. So if you would like to know the brew basics, all about the flavors, the flavor cache, the conditioning, packaging, fermenting, lautering, don't even know what that is, mashing and brewing, then you... Oh, and if you want to know about ales, lagers, beer types and styles, then you're just gonna have to come get the book, Goodnight Brew, here at Flagstaff Bookman's. Now, I love reading to y'all, and I love coming here to Flagstaff Bookman's. I'm gonna go, even though I am fully vaccinated and boosted, I'm gonna put on my mask to go do some shopping, find some gifts for people, you know, some things for myself. You know, the gifting season never really ends. So I hope to see you here sometime soon for another story time. Hopefully in person next time. I know things can be scary out there, so I want to remind y'all to stay safe, wash your hands, wash your ass, also floss. Not enough people are flossing. It doesn't do anything to prevent COVID, but please do. prevents your stank breath from assaulting my face. Just kidding. I don't know who's watching this. I don't know you personally, and maybe your breath is fine and fresh. But remember to stay safe, love each other, love yourself, look out for yourself.